Well, in the wake of the South Carolina primary, I was on Fox's live coverage on Saturday night and talked about it obviously on the show on Sunday. I tried to make the point that the media, the pundits, the journalists were now sort of, in most cases, grudgingly acknowledging what some of us have been saying all along, that Donald Trump is a very strong candidate for president, even stronger now after winning the back-to-back primaries in New Hampshire and South Carolina, and no rationalization otherwise makes much sense. That doesn't mean that Ted Cruz or Marco Rubio or John Kasich could possibly, if the chips fall a certain way, overtake him or get him in a one-on-one situation. But it was time for the press to come out of denial, saying Trump was a temporary phenomenon, he was a sideshow, he would self-destruct every week, any moment, next week, tomorrow, next hour, we'll all see that he's not as strong as we all thought. He's a pretty strong Republican candidate for president. So, email from Joe S., who says, "Thank you, Howard. For the last 12 hours, you are the only analyst on cable or network news that actually gave a fair and balanced report on Trump's win. Not only is this electorate sending the political establishment a message they refuse to acknowledge, but also to your colleagues who are exhibiting their establishment views that I can't bear to watch much more. If only your credibility could extend to those in the media that are joined with the establishment at the hip." Now, I agree, Joe, that many of you out there view the media establishment and the political establishment as kind of indistinguishable. I happen to think there are more shades of gray here. Not everybody who opines on Fox or CNN or MSNBC or network news is cut from the same establishment cloth. We have different views, different backgrounds. And we're talking here about liberals, conservatives, and people who are just try to be political analysts without letting any ideological views color what they say. But I will agree that I think that too many of the people in the news business live in a bubble. It can be a kind of a New York, DC, LA bubble, in which they failed to understand not just that Trump was going to be a very strong candidate, and by the way, that Bernie Sanders was going to be a pretty strong candidate on the Democratic side, but also that there was all this anger and frustration out there that a candidate like Trump was tapping into. If you want to call that establishment, well, I guess that's your privilege. And I think it's been a long process for many of my colleagues to have to wake up to the fact that there are a lot of fed up people out there, not all of them supporting Trump, but certainly a good share of them are, and other outsider candidates. Some of them support Ted Cruz, who is a United States senator, but is sort of outside and doesn't see himself at all as part of the political establishment. Some support Ben Carson. That they are so disgusted with all the empty promises that politicians make, and then they come here to Washington and nothing much changes, that they are willing to support an outsider, a businessman, a bombastic person who is not a doctrinaire conservative by any means, somebody like Donald Trump. It is time for us to get it. I think some of us in the news business are now waking up, but I'm going to keep calling out the people who are either in denial or blaming the voters for supporting Trump. That's not a good look for the media.